All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Ashley Brackett, and I'm a counselor in our University Transfer Center. Welcome to Transfer 101. We're going to go over some just transfer basics, some things that you hopefully don't know and you'll learn, resources, kind of just a lot of the basics. It should not take a full hour, but unless you have tons of questions, which I completely welcome. But if you have follow-up questions, you can always come into the Transfer Center as well. So we'll get started with that on our basics. So just to kind of start off, you probably are all pretty aware of this, but sometimes it's good to break it down so students can see kind of what a transfer plan looks like. We often get the it's miscommunicated, or people kind of have the wrong idea about transfer. And essentially what you end up doing is coming to a community college like Allen Hancock College and doing your first 2 years. It can take more than that. We know that sometimes. And then you're transferring on and you're doing your second 2-ish years at the university. So it shouldn't take you any more time to get your bachelor's degree than if you were to go right out of high school, if you actually do it in the time frame set for your plan. Now, some majors, it might not be as easy because there's a lot more classes that are required. I'll kind of get to that. But most majors, you can do it in 2 years at the community college, transfer, and then go on to the 4-year, do your other 2-ish years and get your bachelor's degree. So you're essentially doing your freshman and your sophomore year units up to 60 at the community college, and then you're doing your junior and senior. It equates usually to about 120 units to get a bachelor's degree. Sometimes they could be a little bit more, 124 semester. And then if you're going to a quarter system, I know it looks like more units, but they transfer over to quarter or back and forth. There's not a whole lot in the CSU. Well, Cal Poly's the only one left on quarter system right now. And then most of the UCs are on quarter, and then the majority of the rest of the CSUs are on semester. So you're just staying to that same 16, 17 week semester, where the quarters are about 10 weeks, give or take. But it doesn't mean you're doing any more or less. It's just how the units equate. So sorry, went on a little tangent. But these are shown in semester units, and that's essentially what it is. I was a transfer student. I went to a community college in Los Angeles, Santa Monica City College, and then I transferred to UC Santa Barbara to finish up my bachelor's degree. I did the community college in 3 years, but that was because my own planning or misplanning. I switched my major quite a few times, and then I waited till the last to take math, and then I had to take a remedial math because of my placement. It was a whole thing. So I ended up there 3 years, which was fine. And then I transferred on, did 2 years at UC Santa Barbara, got my bachelor's in communication studies. So everybody's a little bit different. Nowadays, they really make it very easy to do it 2 and 2. If you are a high unit major, you may find that you're a little more at the 4-year or a little more at the community college, just because there's so many, like the math and sciences usually where that is. Basic admission requirements. So this is also another area where students might get a little bit confused, or thinking that they need certain things that maybe they don't necessarily have to have. So we broke it down by school type. So you have your 2 basic systems, in California, your public school systems. California State University, you'll hear that as the CSU, and then the University of California, the UC system. So the minimum admissions for the CSU is 60 transfer units, which is easy at Hancock. It's anything 100 level. English 101, Math 100, Speech 101, anything 100 is transfer to CSU. I need 60 of those to go by the time that you're ready to leave. Golden 4, which is our at Hancock, is English, a critical thinking class, which is usually an English or philosophy or a debate class, an oral communication, so your speech class, and then a transfer level math, which is anything 100 level, right? And then you have to have that minimum 2.0 GPA. So at minimum, you can get into quite a few California State Universities. There are quite a few out there that accept at that minimum. Don't necessarily have to have major prep done. You don't have to have a super high GPA to be able to get into some of those. You can get in with that 2.0. However, there are quite a few in the system that we would call impacted, meaning that there's more students applying than they have space for. So they may be looking for a higher GPA to be competitive. They may be looking for certain major prep to be competitive. So it really depends on where you want to apply. And we'll talk a little bit about what to consider when picking a university. An option is to complete what we call your general education pattern. So we have the CSU pattern or the IGETC. The IGETC you'll see is for the UC, but you can do that or the CSU to keep your options open. So if you go to, I just was on here the other day. I always go to counseling's webpage, but I found it on here. Here we go. CSU IGETC GE patterns. And that will take you to both the CSU or the IGETC. You'll notice we have some other ones for STEM. We have the Hancock one, but the CSU is the one you could follow if you're just looking to apply to California State universities like Cal Poly, Long Beach, Cal State LA, Fresno State. There's 23 of them in California. This pattern already encompasses the 3 I already told you are required: oral, comm, written, critical thinking, and transfer level math. But then it encompasses all the other things you could do to finish your general ed. Your science, right? You need 1 physical, 1 life. Your arts and humanities, 9 units there, 6 units from social science, 3 unit or at least 3 units from lifelong learning, and 1 new ethnic studies requirement. That is a newer requirement of the Cal States. Finishing this pattern is great because it just means that you have completed your lower division general education, and your universities, when you transfer in, aren't likely going to ask you to complete any more lower division general ed. Now, they could have an upper division junior or senior level class or 2 to graduate, but we would check you off, certify, and you would be good. Now, that doesn't mean that's required to be admitted. So that's where the difference is. It's great if you can get your general ed done. Most people do, because we'll plan it out where you can complete that. But there are some high unit majors like engineering, some of the biological sciences, where there's so much you have to do in the major, it may be hard to finish your general ed, and that's okay. It's not required as long as you have those minimum admission requirements. Now, in the UC system, University of California, so you've got like your UC Santa Barbara, your UCLA, UC Irvine, there are 9 undergrad campuses that you would follow the IGETC pattern. Again, not required, at least in most cases. Very rarely is it required. But what you do have to have is 60 UC. Notice that says UC transfer units, because not everything at Hancock is UC transferable. Not every 100 level. Most of them are, but I'll show you where you can go and look at what's UC transferable. And a lot of times it will say it. If you open our classes in the class searcher in the catalog, it will tell you if it's UC or CSU. And then they have what's called a 7-course pattern. So they require your 2 transfer English, or it could be like your English critical thinking, a transfer level math, which most of our math counts for, but not all of it. And then at least 4 other courses from your general ed, which is, you can pull off the IGETC from the at least 2 different categories. So you can have it from your science and your arts, or you can have it from your social science and your arts. You need at least 4 other courses and at least a minimum 2.4 UC GPA. Again, you could get admitted at some of the campuses, but I would say the majority of the UC are really looking at a higher GPA to be competitive. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get in with that minimum GPA. There are a few campuses and majors that might work for. Okay, let me just show you really quickly. The IGETC pattern is very similar to the CSU general ed. Let me click out of this one and we'll go IGETC. It just has slightly different categories, and then it also is more limiting, meaning like you'll notice not every arts, like you won't see drawing or design classes for the general ed for the UC, because the UC tends to have more of a focus on theory and research. And so you'll just see different classes that are available or that you can use to satisfy these requirements. But the areas are pretty similar. And then you only need the speech for CSU. It is not required for UC. And then they have a language other than English requirement that you don't see on the CSU. Again, not an entry requirement, just a graduation requirement. But you can satisfy that if you did at least 2 years of the same foreign language in junior high school with a C- or better. Or some people come in with an AP exam and complete that. Just starting this year, they have a new ethnic studies, just like the CSU. And then this is just showing there's a graduation requirement of CSU recommended, not required to get in again. So the pattern is very similar. If you're not sure if you're going to apply to CSU or UC, or you're still kind of figuring it out, you would want to follow the IGETC to just kind of keep your options open. Again, not required for admissions, but a good plan to kind of follow as you're taking general ed classes. Independent, private, out of state, very can be very widely different on what their admission requirements are. Typically, you don't need a minimum of 60. Sometimes it's even just a minimum of 12 to 24 units, 30 maybe. But you would want to look and see max, like how many units from the community college will they take, so that you're, not wasting your time and money here. And then some of them do accept our California campus, the GE patterns, quite a few of our private schools, and even some out of state. If you're concerned, you should see a counselor anyway, but definitely with private and out of state, talk with a counselor to help get that plan put together. So that's just minimum admissions. Choosing a campus. Sometimes I know students come in and they know very clearly where they want to go, what they want to do, and that's great. But I do recommend that you kind of consider all options, even if you were like, I'm Cal Poly gung-ho, I've wanted to go there since I was a little kid. Great, but it's always good to have some backup options, and you never know what you might find out there. So things to look at, of course, cost. However, there is always financial aid available at all universities, as long as they're accredited and a legitimate campus. There should be some kind of financial aid offered. So that doesn't necessarily mean what the ticket price is. Like UC can look very expensive on paper, $12,000 to $15,000 a year in just tuition. However, they have a lot of really great financial aid that they'll offer to students. And sometimes that means zero, right? No tuition paid. So don't let the cost kind of scare you too much. We have a cost comparison sheet you can actually look at too, but always remember there's financial aid that you can tap into. The size, maybe that matters to you. Maybe you want to be at a campus that's really large. You're tired of living in a little small town and you want to be at like a UCLA or UC Berkeley, where you're in the city and the environment around you, right? The location, or maybe you want to stay closer to home to a small campus like Channel Islands. And so those are important things for you to think about when looking at campuses. And also even public to private school. Some of the public schools can be just as small as private, like a Channel Islands kind of have smaller class sizes, or like a Stanislaus State. But the private schools tend to have smaller class sizes. So if that's something that's important to you, again, those can look very expensive, but sometimes you never know. There can be really good financial aid offered. Your major, that's a super important thing. If you're very stuck on a certain major and a campus doesn't offer it, you may want to consider, like, is this the right campus for me? Or if I'm very interested in this campus, is there maybe another major that I can apply under and still, have that as an option? Something like, I have a lot of students who want business, and business is not at very many of the UC campuses, but you can go in under economics or accounting, and you can still usually get to, what your goal might be, especially if you're thinking of getting a bachelor's degree and then continuing your education for a master's or PhD or, beyond. Then what your bachelor's is in oftentimes doesn't matter as much. It matters because you want to enjoy it. You want to take something that you feel like you can do something with. But a lot of times you just need that minimum of a bachelor's to then apply into those higher level programs. So don't be too stuck if a campus doesn't have your major. Talk to a counselor. A lot of times we can find, ways around that. However, if you're wanting to do something like nursing, where that's very specific, you have to have a degree, right, to work in that field, then of course, you'd want to find the campuses, which is going to be majority at the Cal State for that one, that offer that major, and then know what, you need to do to get there. I already mentioned impaction, but it's good to consider that when picking campuses. I say that because it's good to have a variety, maybe some campuses that aren't as impacted. So, you have a really good shot of getting in no matter what. And then maybe those more competitive schools. So you have a variety of campuses to apply to, just as backup options. And then major requirements, that can vary greatly. A psychology is a really good example of this. Where the requirements for a UC psychology program versus at Cal State can be very different. I mentioned that UCs tend to have a real focus on research and theory side of the major. You'll find that in the requirements. A lot of the psychology at the UCs have more math and science behind it. There might be like the brain sciences, like UC Santa Barbara has psychological brain sciences. So you really want to look at, what is it that I want to get out of this major? Maybe look at the curriculum. You can find that on the websites, in their catalogs. What will I be studying when I get there? So, is this a good fit? Is this major going to take me where I want to go? Am I going to study the types of things that I think I'm going to study and enjoy? That is where I went wrong. I told you I was a communication studies major. I went to UC Santa Barbara, loved it, had a great time. It was fine, but I probably would have picked a Cal State knowing what I know now. I thought I wanted to go into marketing and public relations, and UC Santa Barbara's program was very focused on the theory behind communicating, which was fine. Again, got me to where I needed to be. But looking back, I probably would have picked a different campus at that time, knowing what I thought I wanted to do. So just things to consider there for choosing a campus. And then housing might be a factor, right? If you're going to be moving away from the area, it's nice to know, do they have guaranteed transfer housing if you're wanting on campus? Is it hard to find housing in the area? Berkeley and San Francisco, Bay Area can be very expensive, very hard to find housing, right? Is there a family that lives in the area that you can live with to kind of save money? So the family housing, if you have a family, do you need somewhere that will offer that? And then what other things are important to you? Thinking about, is there clubs that you want to be involved with? Is there an internship opportunity or something in the community that you want to have access to? Sports, right? What are the things that are most important to you as you move on to the university? We have a couple resources down here that I'm going to just tap into and kind of go over a few things that I want you to be aware of. Website. There's a lot on here. First and foremost, when it's time to apply, that's where you'll go. But they also have a lot of different resources, financial resources. But down here at the bottom, you can look at all 23 CSUs if you want to link directly there. I like viewing the map, because then you can see where, in California, a lot of times that's an easy place to start when students don't know where they want to apply. This is great. And they can be like, oh, actually, I really want to be in Southern California. Great. Let's focus on, those campuses down there. So that's one really great tool there. And then the Find Your Match. I really like this tool because it's a way to compare and contrast all of the campuses. So you can, again, choose by location. So let's say I want Northern California, and I know I want to be, let's find a major. I'm going to try to do something. Cinema, film. And then let's say you really want to be in kind of like a small to medium city. You can narrow it down as much as you want or not at all. You can even go by enrollment or sports. But if I search just based on that, there's only one campus that comes up, Chico, probably because the major I picked. It's probably not at very many. And then you can look at a quick snippet. Yes, housing is offered, total enrollment, and then you can link into the degrees. You can go to the university website. So, it actually said there's no universities, and then it suggested a campus. That's funny. I've never done that one. Now, if I were to do, for example, Northern California, and I picked a very popular major like biology. Yeah, I'll do bio. We'll probably find that we're going to get a lot more. Okay, that might be because I did the small. Let me not do it by setting. So now I have 7 results because I didn't narrow down my setting like small town. So then it's going to give me Chico, East Bay, Humboldt, Sacramento, so now I can start comparing. So I really like this if you're kind of like unsure, want to explore a lot of different universities. This is the California State University website. Again, there's a lot more. You can go look at careers. You can contact them. I don't want to donate right now. But this is a really great tool in that way. While we're here, I'm just going to jump right over so I don't have to stop sharing and sharing to the resources. You can get to these actually from our website. So if you go to the CSU area majors, that takes you where I just was at. The campuses takes you to that map. Admission requirements, I already went over that, but you can look at it here. If you're a brand new student, the Cal State Planner, that takes you into the new guarantee that they have. That's where you can set up and start getting ready to apply in the future. I'm going to talk in a little bit about the guarantees. Impacted majors. I mentioned that there are some campuses that have impaction. This website, you can actually look and search by campus. So let's say Chico kept popping up, right? For upper division transfers, what programs are impacted? Well, they only have 2, nursing and this music option and recording arts. So that's great. You know, okay, every other major is not impacted means I probably have a really good chance of getting in, which is kind of the minimum stuff. Sometimes GPA does matter too, if you're outside of their area. So that's one tool that you can find on here. When it's time to apply, you can go in here, cost of attendance. That's a great place to start comparing, right? And you can even do, they have cost calculators at each campus's financial aid webpage. So you can kind of project out, here's my income, here's my family size, and it can kind of give you an idea of what financial aid you will possibly earn when you go there. Online degrees are very popular now. So we have the Cal State Online specifically, and then after you apply some steps. So you can get right into the resources. UC has the same thing. There's a lot of the campuses, the majors, admission requirements. They have a planner that you can start even when you just start or in high school, start filling it out and getting ready for the application. They have tips. They have a guarantee. I'll get into that in a little bit. Their application has some personal insight questions, some kind of personal statements. So they have that there. So again, a lot of different resources. This one's very similar to the one I was looking at CSU. So you can search by major, you can compare campuses, and it'll give you can link directly to the campuses. So both of those, CSU and UC, have some really great resources. The resource that you're probably going to find that you use the most as a transfer student is called Assist. If you have not had a chance to play around on this website, highly recommend it. Or if a counselor hasn't told you yet, this is where you can look at what classes do I need for the major that I want. So let's say, and you can go to any of the public universities. So let's say I wanted to look at Bakersfield, from Hancock to Bakersfield, the major I was looking at, biology. And then you can view the agreement that we have with them. And it's going to give you a little bit of information. And then it's going to give you Hancock courses, always on the right-hand side, and the university courses on the left. Here's the courses you could take at Hancock that would be equivalent in your major to the classes that you would be taking if you were already there as a freshman, right, or sophomore. So this is a perfect tool to say, okay, what do I need? What would I need to take? This is the tool we use when we make your plan for transfer. So, but it's open to everybody, not just counselors. That is one way you can use this tool, searching by campus to campus by major. If you're not sure who even has your major, you really want to kind of start comparing and looking at who might have it. Now you can go by biological sciences. You can even narrow it down further. Let's say, ooh, I really want to do marine biology. It'll pull up every campus in the CSU system that has any kind of inkling of marine biology. Some of them you'll notice it's like under environmental science, or here's fisheries biology, right? Unique ones, marine and coastal sciences. But you can go through, see what you like, and then link directly to that web page for that major. That's another way you can use Assist. I mentioned not all classes at Hancock are UC transferable. So you can use this side to look at Allen Hancock courses that are UC transferable. I didn't mention it when I had it open. Maybe I still actually have it open. But the back of the UC or IGETC also lists every class at Hancock that's UC transferable, plus the AP credit that you would get. So that's one way to do it. But on Assist, you can use this, and then you can view transferable. And let's say you wanted to see, I'm taking a business class. I want to see if it's transferable. It will list the only business classes that are UC transferable. So there's a lot of different ways that you can figure that out. And then you can keep modifying, going back and searching. So Assist is what we would call your transfer Bible. You're going to use it all the time as a transfer student. So it's good for you to know about it, because then you can utilize that resource even before you maybe even come in and talk with a counselor about your goal. So what can you do now? I just went to the UTC webpage, and I will go back there in a second and show you some things. But definitely schedule an appointment for a student education plan if you have not done that yet. Hopefully you have a plan. If you don't, schedule that soon so you know what to take in the next semester and moving forward. Or if you already have a plan, but you're going to maybe make some changes, or you want to verify, change your major, change your campuses, make sure you're meeting with a counselor to have that plan updated. If you're unsure of what you want to do, this personal and career exploration course is a great one to take. It's a 3-unit. It counts as general ed for CSU. Perfect course to take to kind of figure out what you may want to do career-wise in the future. These two are both really great options to just also count. Well, the PD 101 is a 3-unit, counts as general education for CSU. Goes over everything you need to know to be a successful college student. So study skills, time management. It even talks about career and transfer, all the things that you need to know to be successful in college. I think every student should take it. I know it can't always fit in every schedule. If you don't have room or time for it, at least try for the PD 110. It's just a 1-unit, so it doesn't take up a lot of time. And that's a really great kind of condensed version of that. So love that as well. The PD 115 is kind of the 1-unit version of the 100 if you don't have much time, a little bit more into like the planning of your career. So that's another good one. I just showed you Transfer Bound. It was on Assist. It was the major search tool on the left-hand side. So you can start to research schools if you're unsure, again, of where you want to go, what you want to major in. And then I showed you how to get to the university websites. I think that's even the best place to go because you can read about your major, right, on their websites. You can read about psychology. What will I be learning? What kind of concentrations or emphasis can I have within this? What kind of opportunities are on that campus for possible internships or jobs? So definitely use that as use the university websites. It might take some time. You might have to do a little deep dive, go down a rabbit hole, but it's so worth it to see what campus might be a good fit for you. Make sure you know the timeline. I don't know if you saw it, but when I was on, I think both UC and CSU, it has the timeline. And I'll show you one other resource on our website for your transfer timeline. You end up applying about a year ahead if you're a fall transfer. Like our students are applying right now for next fall. October, November is the time frame for fall. So if you're in your first year and you're planning on being here just 2 years, next October, November, you're already going to be applying for the next fall. If you're a spring transfer, so maybe you've set up a plan where you're going to start in January of the year you transfer, you're going to apply either in summer or August, depending on where, summer meaning June or July, or August, depending on the campus you're going to apply to. So make sure you have that. I know when I build my student education plans with students, I put in when they'll be applying. So just make sure that you know that timeline. And then these workshops are great. I'm glad you guys are here. I wish more students were here to learn this information, but we have more, right? We have them on the associate degree for transfer. We have a financial aid one that will be coming up that is so valuable to learn more about financial aid at the university level. We have them, we'll have special guests come in, UC or CSU, and you can attend those. And then obviously the most important, as a transfer student, I will say the most important thing they're looking at is the classes you're taking, right? You're getting the major prep done if you need it, and then your grades. They want to know that you can come in and be successful at junior level. You're no longer going in, as a freshman out of high school, where they're kind of expecting you to kind of, not necessarily know everything. They expect that, a lot of times transfer students have life experience. They have, they might be returning continuing older students. They might have a family. You may have a job while you're going to school, right? Those are all things that freshmen coming in don't usually have. So they're really just looking more at the grades and making sure that you will be successful once you get there. So really important to keep those grades up, especially in certain majors that it's required. So some resources that we offer through our transfer center, obviously the workshops, I'll go there and we can look at a few of those in a minute. The road trips, we visit different campuses so that you can step foot on the campus, take tours, talk to students, talk to advisors potentially on there. Really, really important to visit campuses if you can, and we offer free trips for that. That is really the best way to get to know a campus and see if it's a good fit. If you aren't able to go on our trips, they don't work for your time, they're not able to get into one. If you could ever visit on your own, highly recommend it, and I'll link to where ours are in a minute. Transfer Day and College Night's coming up on October 31st. It's going to be on Halloween during the day. So we're going to have a little fun with it, have a little contest with student activities for costumes, lots of candy, of course, given out. But that's when all of the reps from the universities will be here on our campus, so you can walk around and talk to them. 10:30 to 1 o'clock on October 31st this month. Out in our commons, you'll be able to walk around and talk to the different reps. So mark that date down. The tag, so we have the transfer admission guarantee for the UC system. So that is truly a guarantee into one specific UC, and I'll show you that in a second. And then we have the other guarantee is what we call the ADT, the associate degree for transfer. And that's when you get one of our offerings of an associate's degree in a certain major, and then you're guaranteed somewhere into the Cal State system, not necessarily into a specific campus. Thank you. If you come into our transfer center, we have resources in here. Most specifically, we have the computers for your use. You're welcome to come and research. Reps sometimes will be in here you can talk to. Our workshops are in here, events sometimes that we offer. So please come see us. And there's also plenty of space to come study if you just want to come in here and chill and hang out. We almost always have snacks. And then we do have reps that will visit, like I said, on transfer day, but even other times of the semester where you can come in and meet, or they'll be offered via Zoom like this, or like a webinar where you can talk with the reps from the universities. I'm already on UC, so I'll start here. So that tag, guarantee your admission, these are the 6 UCs that participate. So the only ones that don't participate are UCLA, UC San Diego, and UC Berkeley. All 6 of these do. So it means you can have a guarantee into one of these campuses by your major. There are certain requirements that you have to meet. So if you were to link into any of these, or if you go into, is it up here? It might be down here. The tag, you can look, there's a matrix where you can look and see what's the minimum GPA that you have to have. Is your major a part of it? Is there certain major prep that you have to fulfill? We also offer workshops on this, but they're back in September when the tag is due. But you would, if you were going to tag, you would do it in the month of September, the year before you're going to go, right? In that, so September, you tag, and then October, November, you're applying to the campus. Great opportunity, even if it's not your first choice school, to have that backup option, right, of a guarantee. And many of the majors do not even require major prep. It's just a certain GPA, and those range usually from about a 2.7 to a 3.4 GPA, depending on the major, depending on the school. Consider tag. If you were not even considering UCs as an option, consider it even just for this purpose. Another really great reason to apply to the UC system, I don't think we have it, maybe if we go to cost of attendance, is they have what's called the Blue and Gold program. Maybe it would be on here. Yes, Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan. So if your family household, if you're from California or considered a California resident based off of your standing or your status, if your family income is less than $80,000, then when you apply for financial aid and apply to a UC campus, you will have guaranteed that your tuition will be covered. So perfect reason to apply to a UC, even if you weren't considering it at first. If your major is anywhere in there, have one of them as an option. So you could have a tag to one of the campuses and know that your tuition is going to be paid if you fall in that realm. They actually even have some other scholarships available if your income's above 80,000, up to like 150, I want to say. So UC is really trying to offer up great financial aid to help students. So consider it for that reason. The associate degree for transfer, which you can get to through the CSU link as well, is here from our catalog, and this shows all the majors that we offer. So if you were to get any one of these associate degrees for transfer, then you would have a guarantee into the CSU system. So the CSU just doesn't have it campus to campus. It's just, if you have this degree and you apply to the campuses and you get denied, they'll make sure you're offered admission somewhere. It also offers you some benefits. So for example, if you apply to Long Beach State and is a business major, and Long Beach has an equivalent degree there to ours, they will guarantee that, or they will give you a bump in your GPA. So it kind of gives you an upper hand, right? So you can be more competitive. It also guarantees, if you get this ADT, that once you transfer, they will not make you take any more than 60 units. Remember, I said you have to have minimum 60 here, but sometimes there's more once you transfer. You do 60 here, 60 there, guaranteed you're done to get your degree. So it's supposed to save you time and money. So those are the 2 guarantees, CSU and UC. And then I mentioned the timeline to transfer. So we have a fall and a winter spring step-by-step on our website. So when you're getting ready to apply, you'll want to come here and look, okay, in August, what should I be doing? Kind of go through, link to the things you need to. September, October, our students are here right now, right, that are applying this year. We link directly to the applications online. You'll link to take our to go to our application workshops. You'll schedule an app review when it's time to have it checked over before you submit it. We go all the way through when you're admitted and when you're leaving us. So this is a great way to look at what do I need to be doing each month. And then if you're spring transfer, we do it that way as well. So no excuse to kind of not know what you're doing because we have everything on our websites. And then just really quickly here, we have even links to our privates, our out of states. So you can link to a lot of different schools and online options. And then last but not least that I was talking about on our slides was our workshops and road trips. So here, we're here right now, right? You guys are all here. You hopefully found it from this or from our email. And then I mentioned university reps. So coming up this Friday, you can actually schedule to meet with a rep from UCLA. Next week, we'll have another Cal State admission workshop for those that are going to be applying this year. We have an undocumented student transfer workshop. So if you or one of your friends is in that category, great workshop to plan to attend. And if you ever come to any of them that are on campus, we always will offer some kind of snack or food too. Assist 101, that'll be coming up in a couple weeks. And remember, I talked about the Assist website. We'll go into more detail there. So a lot of different ones coming up. I wanted to load till we got to the financial aid. I mentioned financial aid. That's a really, really good one to attend. If not now, at least in the future as you're getting closer. And then again, the UCLA rep. So lots and lots of workshops that are coming up, or at least events that we offer. And then really quickly, the university reps. If we don't have one coming to campus, or they're not going to be here on transfer day, you can always link to get into contact with any of the reps, at least in the UC CSU system. And then we have a couple of our private school options. And then last but definitely not least, the road trips. These are super fun, great way, like I said, to visit campuses. Of course, this semester, most of ours are really full, but you can at least see the itinerary so you can check out what students will be doing. Hopefully you guys, a few of you got on the list for these and are going. Our overnights will always pay for the hotel, the transportation, food. Any of them will pay for the food and transportation, and overnight will pay for your hotel, so you don't have to worry about cost. And so we go new places every semester. So make sure you check this at the very beginning of the term to see when the registration will start. We started August 18th. So you can come on here, sign up early, and get a spot in one of those. Oh, good. Jen says we're still taking applications for Fresno Bakersfield. I'll actually be going on that trip. 2 really wonderful campuses to check out and visit. And sometimes it's good to just go, even if you don't think that you want to apply to a campus. You'll be surprised at how it will be visiting. And then once you see it, being like, maybe that is a good fit for me, or they have my major and I really like it. Or even the opposite. You think you really want to go somewhere and you visit and you find, you know what, that's not a good fit. It's not the kind of campus that has what I'm looking for. And that's also important. So you know not to apply there potentially. So those are just some of the important resources on our website. I think that's it for, let me share back over here, but I think that's it for like the bulk of what I wanted to say. Yes. Now I'm going to open up to any questions that you might have. Do follow us on social media. We try to put up information there. At the very least, plan to check your email from us, because we'll put out a lot of information of what we have going on through the transfer center, especially when you're getting in that time period when you're going to apply. A lot of times there'll be last minute rep visits that are coming. We'll try to get it out maybe in a text message, but at least check our emails. Good information is being shared out that way. Otherwise, thank you for attending today. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about our transfer resources, services. That's just a snippet. There's a lot more information about transfer. So please visit with a counselor if you haven't done that. Tell your friends to come see the transfer center, even if, oh, and I should have mentioned, if students aren't even sure if they want to transfer, they're still welcome to go on the trips. It doesn't have to be for somebody who's identified transfer. Sometimes students will go on the trip and then realize, hey, I do want to transfer. So share it with your friends. Thank you for being here. Hope you have a great evening. If you have questions, I will still be here.